As a wilderness skills educator, I always encourage people to learn and remember at least 3 identifying traits when it comes to identifying mushrooms. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 identifying features that are going to really help you to identify chanterelles. In addition, you also want to know what the mushrooms look like throughout the different stages of their life and the different variations that you may come across out in the field. Here, we have a plethora of chanterelles in many different forms to look at and investigate. Now there are 2 main lookalikes to chanterelles that you may confuse them with when you're first learning, and those are the false chanterelle and the woolly chanterelle. But armed with these 3 identifying features for golden chanterelles, you shouldn't have any risk of confusing them with these other lookalikes. The first characteristic is the gills. When we look at the gill structure of chanterelle mushrooms, they're more like big, robust ridges rather than flat blade-like gills that you'll see on many other types of mushrooms. You'll also notice that the gills of chanterelles are irregular and they tend to be in a webbing sort of pattern. The webbing is more apparent on the more mature mushrooms, like this one right here. But when you come across small button mushrooms, the webbing is more apparent right on the margins of where the cap is ending. Like this one right here. See how the wavy margins, or the wavy gills, are closer to the margins, the end of the cap? With chanterelles, when they first are emerging from the ground, they usually are coming up as these little button mushrooms with flattish caps. But as they mature, they start to make a more funnel shape, which is also known as an infundibiliform. It's a characteristic funnel shape of most pictures you see of chanterelles. But as with everything that grows in nature, there's always going to be variation. Just look at this chanterelle right here, how it grew very distinctly different than the typical growth form of other chanterelles. The second identifying trait for chanterelles is the quality of the flesh. When you cut open the stem of a chanterelle, the flesh should be nice and firm and relatively uniform in color, usually anywhere from a white to a very pale yellow, just like this one right here. Identifying trait number 3 is the smell of chanterelles, in particular these golden chanterelles. Now this is most apparent whenever they're freshly cut. When you freshly cut a chanterelle, give it a nice sniff. You're gonna smell a very slight hint of fruity apricot type of smell. It doesn't smell mushroomy like your button mushrooms or that typical mushroomy type of smell. It's a very fresh, very fruity type of aroma. And it's actually really great if you get a whole bucket full of chanterelles and stick your face in it. It just really hits you. It smells very apricot-y. And when you get your harvest home, it's always a good idea to put it out on the table just like this and sort through it, just to make sure that you're not getting any other types of mushrooms in there that you don't want getting into your pot. Well, hey, hope that helped you out. Go out and find yourself some chanterelles.